The miracle claims got to me. I believed in every single one of them. So I went from being vegan to being high carb, low fat vegan. And that's where things went a little bit rocky.
I think it's fair to say many of the people who told this young woman lies. As she said, people who made impossible claims about health, weight loss, vitality, diet. Many of the people lying to her passionately believed that when they were telling these lies, they were liberating her from a different set of lies, a worse set of lies. Perhaps lies they imagined were invented by the meat industry. Perhaps lies they imagined were created by a conspiracy of medical doctors and scientists. But I've heard it all in veganism. People who really want to believe there's a secret conspiracy for disinformation to make people sick instead of curing them and so on. But they felt that their lie was a sacred lie and beneficial for the people being lied to, and that it was a moral mission for the people doing the lying. The alternative is easy, but it's not easy to do consistently. The alternative is rigorous honesty. This is a sense in which we keep growing in our 20s, our 30s, our 40s, learning to be rigorously honest with yourself and others. It's not human nature. It's not something you learn as a child. It's not something anyone else ever taught you. You teach it to yourself.
À-bas-le-ciel.
Hey guys, I think it's fair to say in the year 2018 that there's a difference between converting to veganism and converting to YouTube veganism. The reality of what YouTube veganism means is different in 2018 than it was in 2016 or 2014, but it's a changing and quite potent and powerful voice for veganism, a platform for veganism, and obviously different activists contend with one another to be the leading voice for veganism on YouTube. At one time it was Gary Horofsky, at one time it was Freely, etc., etc. And it's very obvious from this young woman's narrative that the form of veganism she converted to, the commitment she made, was not to ecological veganism or ethical veganism. It was very specifically to YouTube veganism and to a certain vision of her own physical body, beauty, even mentality, attitude, even in the sense the subculture presented to her by YouTube. That was what she wanted to buy into, and that ultimately is what she's been disillusioned with. And I think she's quite self-aware and self-critical in how she's constructed this narrative, this analysis of how she converted to veganism and how she became disillusioned and deconverted afterwards. And after, I'll have a few more comments after I play you these clips. But let me just say, some of you watching my channel can relate to this, and some of you can't. When I say, as I've said many times, I was involved with Buddhism for more than 10 years, but I left Buddhism fundamentally because I don't want to be part of a religion that's based on a lie. And I'm not interested in any movement within veganism, any form of veganism, or any promotion of veganism that's built on lies. And I've known many people within Buddhism and many people within veganism who offer different justifications for the lies that are offered, who claim that the lies will entice people to join, will positively motivate people to join, that even if these things aren't true or half true or misleading but not entirely false, that they'll be good for the movement, good for the faith, if you like. And examples like this, I believe examples like this show just how utterly wrong that mentality is. When you have people convert to a religion on the basis of a lie, for example, the lie that Buddhism is completely scientific, for example, the lie that meditation will improve your sex life. There are myriad lies. There are also lies within Buddhism about personal beauty and weight loss, by the way. The whole gamut, physical, spiritual, and otherwise. then when they realize they've been lied to, when they realize they made this commitment with false assumptions or a false premise, what happens then? Inevitably, they have a sense of resentment and even contempt for everything they had faith in before. And I think, in a profound sense, this young woman, what she's explaining to you is that because she bought into veganism through a set of lies, even though she still to this day sees the good in veganism, in a very real sense, veganism has been discredited for her.
It felt so good learning about it and caring about it and talking about it that I obviously brought it on my YouTube channel, and just there was so much enthusiasm and excitement over it, and because of all that, I couldn't imagine myself living a life any other way. And learning all that I'd learned in my head, it all made sense. And if you've ever watched vegan videos on YouTube, as I quickly did after changing to a vegan diet, I found the high carb, low fat community, and like they're these like skinny, glowing, young, beautiful women and men that are just eating fruit and eating huge amounts of it, and they're losing weight, and they're thriving, you know, their skin, all of their acne has gone away, they've declined in age 20 years. The miracle claims got to me. I believed in every single one of them, so I went from being vegan to being high carb, low fat vegan, and that's where things went a little bit rocky, I would say. Then going high carb, low fat vegan, that's where I did feel a divide, where I was more strong in this belief system than I was about my social life, about how I presented myself. I didn't care. All I cared is I was following this diet, and my whole train of thought, my whole daily, sorry about my phone going off, my brain I isolated myself into this one box of thinking, and I cared more about following this diet than anything else. That diet was so important to me that it consumed my thoughts. Like, I woke up and lived every single day just thinking about the meals that I was going to be eating, and that's the most focus I've ever put on food in my entire life, where I woke up and I would have these enormous breakfasts, lunches, and dinners. Like, I was eating more than I've ever eaten in my life and feeling so disgustingly full because I was eating huge meals that I had never eaten before. And keep in mind that I had never come from like a past of restriction or dieting or anything. But a lot of the videos were saying like, okay, you might gain weight if you've come from a past of restriction because you need to fix your metabolic damage. So I started to believe that I'd come from a past of subconscious restriction, even though that was like 0% true, and just kept following this diet aimlessly, just being brainwashed into believing that if I had 23 peaches for lunch that I was gonna get skinny and look really great. And suddenly my shift went from helping the environment to just blindly following this list of food rules to look a certain outcome, and it just wasn't true. It just didn't make any sense. There were some eggs, and there were some eggs from the neighbor's farm, and I remember holding up that egg and looking at it and just thinking to myself, like, this egg isn't cruel. This egg comes from a chicken with the absolute best life. Like, this egg is a good egg. Like, I would love to be the chicken that laid this egg. I think this egg is great, and I remember having to convince myself so hard that I wasn't doing a bad thing when I was about to crack open this egg, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. And so I put some oil on the pan. Guys, this is ridiculous that this was a huge moment for me, but I put some oil on the pan, I cracked the egg, put toast in a toaster, and I had an egg over easy on a piece of toast, and I ate it. And I remember looking at him and I was like, this is amazing. I can't be vegan forever.
It's one thing to tell a lie, it's another thing to sell a lie, and it's another thing to live a lie. And a lot of what I've seen going on within veganism and animal rights within my lifetime, it's a combination of all three. And that's a goddamn shame, because the real value of veganism, the real virtue of veganism, doesn't need any lies to support it. This really can stand on the value of truth alone. And the shame is, I still feel that way about Buddhism, even though I'm an ex-Buddhist. Just tonight, I was sitting around a dinner table with 5 or 6 vegans, maybe 7. We had a circular table, I forget how many people were there. We had a round table of vegans. And when I was talking about Buddhism, and I was breaking down what the fundamental tenets of the religion and philosophy are, I was saying, look, the situation with Buddhism, it's not the same as the situation with Islam or Judaism. This is a religion that actually has something to offer in the 21st century. There's something positive here. But yeah, there's so much wrong with it. There's so many problems we have to deal with. There's so many dishonest and disruptive and destructive and manipulative elements to what goes on in this religion. But sure, I can't tell you there's no value at all to this philosophy built on telling people dukkha, anicca, and atman. Life is suffering. All is impermanent. There is no soul. That's a philosophy we can still sell in 2018, whereas I don't think selling its own merits, selling honestly, the philosophy of Islam, Judaism, Christianity, I don't think anyone would really be buying if they think about what happens when you sell your soul to the Catholic Church or any other mainstream form of Christianity. I don't think those are religions that have any place in the 21st century, whereas Buddhism could have a place in the 21st century, but it can't be a place built on lies. And within the Buddhist religion, one of the ways that people justify telling a lie, selling a lie, living a lie, is the belief, sometimes openly stated, that the lies they're telling are better for the people being lied to than the lies they would be living otherwise. Like, for example, if you could convert someone, if you converted someone from Islam to Buddhism, then you were in some sense liberating them, even if you were only liberating them from one set of lies to another set of lies, right? And step by step, people who offer these sorts of justifications for themselves, whether it's a theistic religion where they believe they're doing God's work, or Buddhism or veganism, it's very easy to become deeply morally compromised yourself when you believe you're serving a higher moral cause, a greater moral cause, even if what you're lying about is diet and weight loss. Anyone who's been paying attention to what went on in veganism in the last 5 years knows exactly what I'm talking about. I think it's fair to say many of the people who told this young woman lies, as she said, people who made impossible claims about health, weight loss, vitality, diet, many of the people lying to her passionately believed that when they were telling these lies, they were liberating her from a different set of lies, a worse set of lies. Perhaps lies they imagined were invented by the meat industry. Perhaps lies they imagined were created by a conspiracy of medical doctors and scientists. But I've heard it all in veganism. People who really want to believe there's a secret conspiracy for disinformation to make people sick instead of curing them and so on. But they felt that their lie was a sacred lie and beneficial for the people being lied to, and that it was a moral mission for the people doing the lying. This is the sense in which, even she reflects in that video, veganism can sometimes come close to being a religion. Hey, I said this earlier tonight talking to TCAT. Veganism is a cult if you want it to be. And a lot of people who get involved with veganism, before they ever got involved, that was what they were looking for. So that's what they found. But the final tragedy is that justification, when seen in the context of someone's whole life cycle, becomes all the more farcical. Because even though we might say that before she learned these sacred lies from well-intentioned but manipulative and dishonest vegans, she had one set of lies. But then when her faith broke down in veganism, when she recognized the extent to which she'd been lied to, misled, and manipulated, she went on to another set of lies. And it's pathetic, in the truest sense of the word pathetic, to hear this young woman trying to muster up ethical justifications for eating a chicken egg, right? But obviously the fundamental delusion here is that she's a good person, she's a compassionate person, she's saving the planet, she cares about ecology, that this wasn't just a weight loss, personal beauty diet cult for her, etc., etc. She wants to believe in her own moral purity. She wants to come up with an ethical system that'll justify that. And in her description of that breaking point she reached, where she decided to literally break an egg and figuratively break with veganism, you see precisely her departing from one set of lies and starting up a new chapter in her life that is sadly just based on other lies. The alternative is easy, but it's not easy to do consistently. The alternative is rigorous honesty. I don't even lie to people that veganism will cure cancer, because it won't. The statistics show in a meta-analysis I've cited in an earlier video, if you're vegan, you have about a 15% reduction in your odds of getting cancer. But I'm not even going to lie about that. And there are profound and perverse consequences to lying to people, saying you're going to heal their diseases through your faith, through your ethical and moral system, because that's what it is. And yes, I've dealt with on this channel examples of veganism that are just as bad as the worst Christian faith healers, promising people you could cure Crohn's disease, promising people you could cure schizophrenia, all kinds of diseases for which there is no known cure. The alternative to telling lies, selling lies, living a lie is honesty. And that's easy to do sometimes. And it's hard to do all the time. I think everyone watching this video is a grown-up. I don't think anybody in my audience is a child. This is a sense in which we keep growing in our 20s, our 30s, our 40s, learning to be rigorously honest with yourself and others. It's not human nature. It's not something you learn as a child. It's not something anyone else ever taught you. You teach it to yourself. Take on that challenge, whether you do it now, in the next 20 years, however much time you need to take. Make a commitment to yourself that you're going to live a life that's honest and authentic, even when it's inconvenient for you, even when it challenges the assumptions of others, even when it challenges assumptions of your own you didn't even know you had.
À-bas-le-ciel.